Hi, I'm Caitlin and this is the Lit Review. Today, I'm coming back with a vengeance and I'm starting with August LitLand. Except this is really the only shot of the board you're going to be getting. Excuse me, it folds this way, so sorry. Because I had a rough July. It's why I disappeared for like a month. I did not finish my TBR at all. I didn't even finish my rollover books. So we're going to be taking 5 punishments this time around, so you won't actually see any of the board play. Erwin cameo there. If you're brand new here to this channel and to LitLand, this is my TBR game where I move across the board in hopes of getting a book haul. It's loosely inspired by Candyland, but it's really evolved a lot since then. And normally I shoot board footage, but today not so much. So let's talk about that for a second. So like I said before, July was a rough month again. I really lost my stride with reading. I enjoyed the things I did read, but it was probably my worst reading month. It was also a month where I really struggled producing content and feeling like a social human being. So I just kind of noped out of it very quietly. So I'm trying to come back, even though I know by the time this comes up, it'll be like a week into August. It's fine, it's fine. I'm slow rolling. So what I've decided to do is, because I didn't finish my rollover books, as well as didn't finish the majority of my July TBR, as well as because I was in such a funk, I bought some more books, so it was just a cluster for actual rules of this game. What I'm going to be doing is, instead of pulling 5 colored cards to move across the board, y'all know when I take punishments, they're challenges, but I also don't move forward at all. So I'm going to do 5 pulls out of this little deck right here, my stuck square deck, and I will have to complete those. And I'm also, because I just colossally got off track and bought more books, I am also going to have to pull one of my Troll Bridge cards. So if I complete whatever is on the card I pull here, I will allow myself to just kind of have a clean slate. Like, I won't unhaul any of the books. It's not the book's fault that I had a bad brain month. So we'll pull one of these, and as long as I complete whatever's on that card, no rollovers, no like punishments heading into September, because I don't want to stress myself out. So that's how I'm going to justify using this. And these cards, if you're new, we haven't had a chance to use any of these, but these are cards that may have an impact for like all of the books I read, or it may just have one, like I have to do it once. So it'll depend on what the content of the actual card is. We'll find out together. I normally do like buzzword stuff at the end of this video, but because again, I've been super overwhelmed, I'm dialing a lot of stuff back so that I can ramp myself back up for success. So I will still be participating in Buzzwordathon. The theme for this month is time of day, like something that has to do with the time of day. But I've already chosen what book that's going to be, and you know, I'm giving myself the freedom to change that around if need be, but I just don't want to add more pressure. I will also be participating in my book club, the Book Covered Book Club. There will be a video coming out for that soon as well. And the theme for Book Covered Book Club this month is a big bloom. So if there's one or more like large flowers on the cover, like that would count towards that. So do with that what you will. Maybe I'll be able to fit that in depending on what my punishments are. We'll see. I'm also not going to be participating in any readathons because, as much as I love them, I tend to get overinvested and stress myself out. So I'm going to dial that back this month as well and see how that goes. I also want to say a quick thank you to the ladies who I believe really started this whole TBR game trend, and that is Becca from Becca and the Books and Cody from Cody's Book Corner. There are so many other amazing games out there, but I really feel like those two, for me at least, started this whole thing and trend, and I love where LitLand has grown. It's actually what brought me back into filming content, because it just makes me so happy to do it. And you know, hopefully I'll be able to slow roll myself back in a way that is fun and still enjoyable for you all as well. So let's get into it. Let's just see what this month brings. So I tend to say this a lot with these, but these are my stuck squares. I pull them when I either land on a stuck space or, you know, get stuck by not finishing all of my books. So they're not necessarily bad or evil prompts. They're just ones that I tend to find a little bit more challenging in the sense that like my brain doesn't always go there. You know, I have to really think about it. Or there may be some books that I've been avoiding, things like that. So they're not bad. I'm calling them a punishment, but I've gotten some really great TBRs with the help of these little prompts here. So it's not inherently like a super negative thing, but it is a little intimidating. So I'm going to pull 5 of these, which is nice because it's actually like a thick little deck and we'll actually be able to get through some of this. So let's see where we're at. Oh, okay, that's weird. Lowest rated on Goodreads. So last month, I definitely had something that was very similar than this. I didn't realize I had 2 prompts in this deck that were very similar. Last month I had to pull a punishment square or a stuck square that was like rated, average rating of lower than 3 stars, which is essentially kind of the same thing. So I don't know, that's kind of boring. So I'm not going to re-pull that, you know, I'll stick with it. But what I think I'm going to do is, if I remember correctly, I pulled that from my owned TBR. And this one, what I'll do is I'll use my library and pull one from my like want to try or buy shelf that I have on Goodreads. So that one is like stuff I'd rather check out from the library or I'd rather buy for myself on a next book haul. We'll see what's low rated on that one. A tie for the lowest average rating. So the 2 that have the average lowest rating of 2.84 on Goodreads are Kind of a Big Deal by Shannon Hale. We'll insert cover here. And The Girl of Hawthorne and Glass by Adon Jeriat-Poole. And that also has a 2.84 star rating. Both of them came out in 2020. Kind of a Big Deal has way more ratings, but they both were at least interesting to me at some point to have me put them on this list. Do either of these work for one of my prompts? No, they do not. The cover of Girl of Hawthorne and Glass has a lot of plants, but not like a flower, a big flower. Oh, damn. Oh well. So I'll let you know which one I ended up picking based on accessibility, and we'll go from there. Pull number 2. Oh, this is actually fun. So 1990 or earlier, which I think can be a challenge because to me this is either more than likely a romance because I own a lot of like old school romances, or I could go the classic route. I think I want a classic, actually. Like, I haven't read one of those in a really long time. Let me look in my shelves and then also see what's on my wish list on my library, because I like to do classics from the library too. So let me check. Ooh, okay. So because I'm not doing anything with specific genre pulls, this actually gives me a ton of freedom this month in a way that is weirdly satisfying. I'm gonna have to rein that in because maybe punishment squares are more fun than I thought. I'm going to choose this nonfiction book called The Devil Finds Work by James Baldwin. So the premise sounds really fascinating to me, and that's why it was on my, want to try shelf on my library list. So it's a memoir about James Baldwin, who's a really famous playwright. So this memoir is about Baldwin reflecting on a lot of the classic films of the 30s and 40s that he grew up on, because this book is published in the mid 60s or early 70s, I think, but it's definitely before 1990, which by the way is when I was born, which is why that prompt is the way it is. It's about him processing his love of those films, but also the deep inherent problematic elements of these films, even in when he was writing them 20, 30 years later, including how they really put racism forward as a common ideology, all of the problems that he now sees with these idols and movies that he grew up loving. So the former film school kid in me is really intrigued to read this. It's a shorter book too, which I think will really help me out as somebody who's still coming off of that emotional slump. And I'm hoping it'll be really interesting. So I'm adding that to my TBR. And even though I could have gone with a flashy romance, I feel like this is a really good fit for 1990 or earlier. And I'm intrigued. Okay, number 3. Set in space. Realistically, I am not the biggest sci-fi reader. I loved the Illuminae files. I think All Systems Red by Martha Wells was also pretty spiffy, but by and large, I am not a huge set in space kind of person. So this is tricky. I know I have a few books that are though. Sometimes a premise just gets me anyway. So let's see what we got. So I know this one is set in space because of the cover, but also the description, and I do have a physical copy of it. It is Chilling Effects by Valerie Valdez. So it's got a really gorgeous cover. I think it's really pretty, which is definitely what grabbed me, even though it is very clearly set in space by the cover. And I just want to read this little, I love these taglines of books. Kidnappers, alien emperors, psychic cats, and she's out of coffee. Like, it just sounds quirky and cute, which has burned me before. I have been burned by space operas that are, you know, too much for me. So we have our Captain Eve as our main character, and she delivers cargo for small profits. Her sister is kidnapped by the Fridge, a shadowy syndicate that holds people hostage in cryostasis. Oh, that's both hilarious and menacing at the same time. So she has to undergo a series of unpleasant and dangerous missions to pay the ransom. But she might lose her mind before she can raise the money. So there are psychic cats. An amorous fish-faced emperor wants her dead after she rejects his advances, and her sweet engineer is giving her a pesky case of feelings. So this just sounds like a really fun romp, like really action-adventure oriented, which is why I think I might like it. Because I'm not really as into the versions of space where you have to like confront human identity and the place in the world. Like, I'm good, but silly stuff. Silly stuff I think I might go in for. Plus the cover's just heckin' cute. I'm hoping. It kind of matches my hair. Kind of matches my hair. Oh yeah, that's what I know about this for now. I have never read any of Valerie Valdez's work. It says on the back here that she's Cuban American though. Oh cool. Her speculative fiction inspired by video games, cartoons, and a bunch of pop culture references. So I'm hoping that that's what these feels are going to give me too. All right, I just have 2 more to go. So this is poll number 4. Oh, okay. So we're going to have to go back to Goodreads for this. Oldest on my TBR. I feel like some necessary context here as I'm pulling Goodreads up on my phone is that I first started using Goodreads when I was in college. It was very distinctly a different worldview and time in my life. So I'm a little nervous about how long ago this was. I was like 20, and that's not bad or anything. I just was in a very different place as a reader. All right, home shelves, backlist books is my like all the stuff that I owned. Let's see. I want date added, called Crimson Night by Trisha Baker. It's originally published in 2002. It has an average of 4 stars, but it only has 546 ratings. I do physically own this. It is somewhere in my apartment. I will be right back. Okay, so here she is. Here's the copy here. Importantly, I was doing some digging in between. So this might be different from its original publication. It was originally published in 2002. This was indie republished in 2014, and apparently the series that I started reading long, long ago, the author did not like how her little trilogy ended, and so she republished it. So I may not be getting the most like original arc here, because I've definitely read the first one and the third one in their OG formats. So this is maybe going to throw me for a loop. I remember finding the third book at like a used bookstore back in the day, and didn't realize that it was the third book in the series. And I think the third one's the one she's most unhappy with, if I was reading her website correctly. Her very strong feelings. The second book, Crimson Night, is following Megan O'Neill, who, when we last left her, had fallen for a man that she thought was like Prince Charming, but turns out to be an absolute sadist in like the literal definition of the term. She'd been seduced into a relationship of pleasure and pain, so it's got like some really strong like BDSM elements, but like not always the best depiction of the scene. I will say that. So she's now a vampire in book 2 because Lord Simon Baldivar made her to cater to his every dark whim and desire. Good Lord. Okay, at the end, okay, I do remember this. At the end of the first book, she basically snaps out of it, out of like her BDSM fever dream with him, realizes that he is a sadist and a murderer, and like thinks that she's killed him, and goes and escapes with this other vampire who's kind of like a monk, kind of a priest, and she like finds a new way of life with him. Except we find out in this book that he's not dead, and she is pregnant, which is not supposed to be able to happen. So the back talks a lot about how Megan is the living philosopher's stone because she can have vampire babies. And so now a lot of people either like want her blood or want her dead. So I don't actually know what I'm getting into with this book. Well, at least I can say that I have gotten rid of the oldest on my TBR. All right, last pick. Let's do this. Okay. Oh, okay. Lost interest over time. Lost interest in over time. That could be a lot of things. It sparked something when I saw this prompt, and I did just kind of lose interest in this series over time, but I'm going to try to return to it. And this is like book 3 in the 3 Dark Crown series, which is called 2 Dark Reigns by Kendari Blake. So this one is a little chunky. I think this one is maybe 400, yeah, like 450 pages. But it follows like 3 sisters in this fantasy island, and like once in a generation, 3 sisters are always born to the queen, and when they come of age, there's basically like a fight to the death between these 3 sisters to see who will rule this island that is really prosperous and like shrouded in mist and all of that. And this is book 3, so by the time you get to this book, a lot of stuff has gone down. But we do still have 3 sisters in play. The first book was super cool. I really loved it. Second book liked a little bit less, and I think that's kind of when I lost interest, and because there's this book and then there's another one after this. But I think this could be inspiring. I think this could be a fun way to like get me back into the world, or at least get me closer to finishing one of those unfinished series that I have on my list. So this kind of looks like a shrimpy stack, but I do have 2 other books. I have The Devil Needs Work, or no, The Devil Finds Work by James Baldwin that I'll be reading in ebook, and then I'll be reading in either ebook or audio, whichever of the 2 books that I can find through my library. So I have 5 books that I need to get through for August. I think that's actually kind of manageable. If I can play catch up at all with some of the books that I was intending to finish in July, I will, just for my own peace of mind and because I like to complete things. But there's also like, as long as I finish these, there's no official pressure here. Oh, I almost forgot to pull a Trollbridge card. Haven't pulled any of these, but these are a real mix of like things I have to do that are either book related or book adjacent. There's things that I maybe don't find the most inspiring in here. There's even some things that are like donate to charity, you know, just like stuff to do. So I have no idea what we're in for, and some of these cards have instructions that apply to all of the books on my TBR, some of them maybe just to one, so some of them are a bit more open to interpretation, so let's see what we get when I pull from this deck. Okay. Frick. Annotate your book. I know that there are some amazing booktubers out there that love to annotate their books, and they have whole videos dedicated to it. Maybe I'll watch some to get inspired, because I don't really annotate my books, which is why this is my Trollbridge card, because I am trolling myself so hard with this. I have to annotate at least 1 out of the 5 books for me to have like a blank slate. I think that's manageable. I will report back to you in next month's LitLand to see how we did with this, if I did this, and if not, I will have to take, I'll say like if I don't complete this, I have to take 2 punishments. That's the deal I'll make with you right now. I'm stubborn, so I'm probably going to try to complete this. If you have strong feelings about which of the books I should try to annotate, please let me know. I can't promise that I'll stick to it. I may end up annotating things that aren't on this list. We'll see what happens. But I will do my level best to annotate one of these 5 books that are on my TBR. So I know there wasn't any like actual board game involved this time around. We mostly just used these stuck squares and the Trollbridge cards, but hopefully this was still entertaining. I'm actually kind of intrigued by my list here. There could be some absolute disasters on here, but there also could be something really special. So I'm eager to find out, and at the very least eager to read these and wipe my slate clean from the dog pile and epic car crash that was July. Thank you for spending time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you want to see more from me or this channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!